Welcome to The American Story. Stories about all the things that make America the country we know and love. It is your generous donations that make the American Story podcast possible. So if you like what we're doing, please take a minute to visit theamericanstorypodcast.org and click Donate. That's theamericanstorypodcast.org and click Donate. We are grateful for your continuing support. This is Chris Flannery with the Claremont Institute. I call this one, Ride the High Country. He rode into our valley in the summer of '89. That's the first line in the classic Western novel, Shane. The '89 is 1889. The valley is in Wyoming Territory, and trouble is brewing. The local big cattleman is finding the handful of recently arrived homesteaders a nuisance. He wants the whole range for his own uses and is bent on driving them out, whatever it takes. The land is theirs by right of settlement and guaranteed by the government, but the government is far away from the valley way up there in the territory. The nearest marshal is 100 miles away. They don't even have a sheriff in their town, which is not much more than a roadside settlement. Then a lone rider, Shane, rides into the valley. There is something mysterious about him. He is not like other men. His past is obscure. The boy watching him ride in has never seen such magnificence in a man. The boy's young, pretty mother knows with immediate conviction that the man is not just mysterious. He is the most dangerous man she has ever seen. And the boy's decent, hard-working father knows at the same time, and just as certainly, that the stranger is the safest man they could ever invite into their home. He will be the deadliest man in any fight he is in. But his deadliness lies deep within a character of iron self-command, like the oiled and ready single-action Colt wrapped in his saddle roll. And it is reserved exclusively for those who require it. The deadliness and the control and the direction of it are inseparable parts of his completeness, his magnificence. He is alert to everything around him. Nothing seems beyond his capacities. Some can't imagine a bullet that could kill him. But he is as mortal as he is deadly, or he couldn't be what he is. He is a hero, frightening and beautiful. His presence wakes up the world he steps into. Without him, the insurmountable problem that world faces could not be resolved. When it is resolved, with his indispensable aid, all he will have left to offer is to ride away and become a legend. Shane was the first novel by a young writer named Jack Schaefer, who had never been west of Toledo, Ohio. The book was published in 1949, and just a few years later, the movie of the same name came out, directed by George Stevens, starring Alan Ladd, and filmed in Technicolor in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, with the Grand Tetons in the background. After it had been in print for 35 years or so, the Western Writers of America ranked the book the best Western novel ever written. The film is ranked right now by the American Film Institute third on the list of the greatest Western movies of all time. John Ford's The Searchers, starring John Wayne, is ranked number 1. High Noon with Gary Cooper is number 2. Each of these classic Hollywood Westerns was released between 1952 and 1956, just at the time the television Western was bursting on the scene. From Hopalong Cassidy and the Lone Ranger to Gunsmoke, Rawhide, and dozens of others. From the mid-1950s to the mid-60s, the Western dominated American television. The English philosopher John Locke wrote in the 17th century that in the beginning, all the world was America. By the middle decades of the 20th century, the classic Western, especially the Western movie, represented America to the world. America was the Wild West. The Wild West in legend and in fact is awe-inspiringly grand, like the Grand Tetons or John Ford's Monument Valley. You can certainly lose your way in the vastness of it. It is harsh and powerful enough to kill you, even if you're very strong, experienced, and vigilant, but certainly if you are soft, inexperienced, and careless. Whatever the altitude, it is the high country, overwhelming to the timid and small-souled, exhilarating to the free spirit, and free spirits are drawn to it. The people are few and far between and come from everywhere. They left their pasts, and sometimes even their names behind. What matters is their character and what they can do. They are starting anew, and they are starting more or less with nothing, from scratch. Life in the Wild West is in this respect always a novus ordo seclorum, a new order of the ages, like the American Revolution. It is the frontier, not just the historical frontier of Wyoming Territory in the 1880s, as in Shane, or Northwest Texas in the 1860s, as in The Searchers, but the eternal frontier, which is always there waiting for us when civilization is left behind, has not arrived, or takes a knee. On the eternal frontier, trouble is always brewing, and the law is out of town. If civilization is to have a chance, we need a hero to ride into the valley. Thanks for being part of the American Story. This is Chris Flannery with the Claremont Institute. If you'd like to learn more about these stories or how you might support them, please visit our website at www.theamericanstorypodcast.org. That's theamericanstorypodcast.org.